Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, good. We're getting ready to open up our meeting and we'll get started here in just a second, okay?
All right.
Ready? All right, good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to the County Board of Commissioners meeting. It's January 23rd. It's 1:02 p.m. Roll call, please.
Tim Atkinson.
Present.
Jim Marlowe.
Present.
Jim Razor.
Present.
All right, gentlemen, on the bond request, on the bond ordinance, we will get to that in just a minute. We have a couple other things of business to take care of. In old business, we have building lease contract between U.S. Fish and Wildlife, Williamson County Emergency Management Agency, and Williamson County Sheriff's Office. I know you guys talked about this at the last meeting. Unfortunately, I wasn't here. Apologize for that. I had a conflict that I had to take care of. In this lease agreement, I know after the last meeting, I think it was decided that the sheriff should be contacted to see if he would sign the lease agreement. I've contacted the sheriff. The sheriff, 2 hours ago, told me that he would have all of his equipment, all the stuff that's in there, out of there before the end of the month, or by the end of the month, and that he's not going to sign the lease agreement. So I'd like to know how we would like to move forward on this. Anybody have any suggestions on how we move forward?
Does he have to be on the lease agreement?
I don't know. He's not going to sign it. He told us he'd have his equipment out of there by the end of the month.
Okay. Personally, I think if he's going to have his stuff out there by the end of the month, and we're really looking for just a short-term contract.
Short-term lease.
Yeah, short-term lease, yeah, so if Brian is just willing to have that on his own, say go with that, but if Brian doesn't want it either, I don't know. I don't know what we do.
Funds to pay for this lease are inside Eva's budget.
Right.
So it doesn't make a difference in that respect.
I know Brian had a little bit of hesitation last time.
So just so that we're clear, there are materials in there, from what I understand, that have some kind of a, what would you call that?
Well, from what I've been told, there's storage of potential old evidence, case file, those seizures, those types of things. I've not physically laid eyes or seen any type of an inventory list. So I can't tell you whether or not there's a chain of custody issue or not. I mean, that would be something that between the sheriff and the state's attorney's office, as far as that went. The concern that we had in the last meeting in this lease agreement was if at the time EMA is done with the lease agreement and is ready to say we're done with it, and all of the materials are still located in there, but they're the sheriff's, how does that play out? Who gets those out of there? Because U.S. Fish and Wildlife is gonna say you have to be empty, so you have to have everything moved out or else we're going to continue to charge you. If it's a chain of custody issue, and again, I just don't know what materials we're dealing with, that EMA then moves them, that could interrupt a potential future use of those if there was a cold case or, like I said, I just don't have enough information to determine what exactly is in there. But if there's cold case storage of evidence, then that would be an issue. I just don't know.
So this brings up the question, then, if we don't sign this lease, will the government then kick us out because we don't have a lease?
They will. They'll have to go through an eviction process.
Right, but they will at some point, one way or the other.
Yeah, they can't do, just because of the federal government, they can't do self-help and lock the doors and say, we're keeping everything that you have. But they will start the process.
Still, the materials that are there, it still doesn't change that problem.
It does not.
It does not. So I guess it's more the question is, we approve this lease knowing that the sheriff, as he's promised he would have that stuff out of there by the end of the month. Do you want to wait until the end of the month and to see if that stuff has been, those items have been removed?
When does the current lease expire?
I have no idea. I don't know that we actually, did we have a, was there actually a lease
I
out
thought
there?
there was an agreement, but it wasn't
I don't
considered a
know.
formal lease with the exchange of funds.
Yeah, right. We just have been using that essentially. There may be a lease, I'm not aware of it.
It runs from January 1, 2024, ends December 31, 2028. But we can get out with a 30-day or 90-day out. There is an out.
Yeah, there's a 90-day out.
Jim, I was kind of referring to previous lease.
But is there a current lease?
Is there a current lease that we're under right now?
Not my understanding.
I don't think there's one out there.
I don't think we've ever had one in times past.
I don't either. I don't remember a lease out there.
So whether or not the landlord in this situation would allow us to delay an execution until 30 days, that would have to be a conversation Brian has with.
Well, today's the 23rd, so does that give us 8 days until the end of the month? So should we wait and see if the sheriff has his materials out before the end of the month? Which is what I was told today on the phone. Okay.
So that'd be probably only the following.
Yeah. Can't believe something this simple should be this complicated. Okay, so I will inform Brian and ENA to tell them that we will, if they call, we will sign the lease or approve the lease once the sheriff has his stuff out. Does that sound fair?
Then, once he has his stuff out, what's something?
Whatever, Brian's got that antenna trailer, doesn't he?
Yeah, EMA still has, in volume, EMA is taking up the most space in this building. What the sheriff's department had, what I saw, is a much smaller space.
So this isn't the bunker.
These are not bunkers, this is one of the warehouses.
The warehouse.
Yeah, it's like a huge hole.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah, I've been out there, I've seen.
10, 12,000 square feet. I mean, it's a pretty good size. I haven't been out, but I know the building's
It's,
going
it's
down.
like a warehouse.
Very much so. All right, gentlemen, do we have an answer to that? Is that good for you guys?
We're just waiting another 8 days.
Yeah. Okay. You guys got the excess liability insurance quote from the insurance company. I would like to move that down. And since we don't have to take care of that business at this point in this meeting, I'd like to move that on down. The agenda, is that okay with you guys?
Sure.
As is the audit. Kim's committed at 2 p.m. to do the audit. They will move that down. The new business is the adoption fees waived for the veterans. Would you like to say something on that? Sure. Yeah. I know there's a lot to it. And Kevin, if we can be as brief as possible.
Sure. I've got copies for gentlemen.
Thank you.
Just want to go over this new legislation that is effective January 1st.
Are you guys aware of this legislation? Have you guys
Yeah.
been told about this? Okay, can we move on then on that? Kevin?
Yeah, so
Okay, thank you.
So basically what I want to clarify is some of the wording, so I can move forward and know, what fees I'm waiving and what fees that we have to collect it in. Currently, our county has a $60 animal adoption fee for dogs. Basically, every dog that we adopt out has to be spayed, neutered, rabies vaccinated, and microchipped upon adoption. We simply collect our cost through our veterinarian to take care of that procedure. We don't charge that extra $60 adoption fee with that vet bill because it would just rip through the roof, and I think that would really hurt us on our adoption fees and payments plus. However, if I have a dog that comes in my facility that's already fixed and we can prove that, and there's somebody who wants to adopt it, then we have our county adoption fee of $60. However, again, the adopter would pay that fee along with the microchipping fee and rabies vaccination fee as well. If we adopt a puppy out that's not of age to be sterilized and vaccinated, again, there's also a contract there and also an adoption fee. What I want to clarify is with this law, it says the animal control facilities, animal shelters shall waive adoption fees. Now, are we talking just that actual county adoption fee we have, or the entire fee for medical adoption fees as a whole? I've gone back and forth with this with other counties and Department of Agriculture, and I just get mixed information. I just want to see where the board stands on it. I can give you my opinion on it and get some guidance on where we should go. Now, the last page of the packet I gave you has some FAQs on it. The second one, question on there, it says, it's a question about already offering discount to veterans. Can I continue to offer this service in place of waiving the fee entirely? The answer to that from Department of Agriculture states on there clearly, the law states you shall waive the fee completely if the person meets the requirements outlined in the measure. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine either way. I'm fine with just waiving our $60 fee or waiving it completely. The issue here is who's gonna, the county would have to absorb that fee, so it's gonna be a budgetary issue for my department. Or if the fees waived completely, the vet bill, my part, everything, is it paid out from contingency as it paid as it comes, or you're out of my budget, however you wanna handle it. Like I said, I've got mixed information from other counties, other cities, everybody's doing it just a bit different. The latest one I talked to was the city of Heron. They have no adoption fee at all. They just have their medical fee. So they don't have adoption fee to waive. So the city is willing to pay the entire medical and basically eating the cost of every bit.
What was that story? Assistant right here?
Rick,
So
did you have a chance to take a look at that new law?
I'm aware of the law.
Okay, does it specifically say that the medical fees are to be waived?
So it does not say, it does not mention medical fees are to be waived. However, in the statute, it says in order for the county to offer a dog up for adoption, it must be spayed or neutered and microchipped. So that then correlates to me that the medical fees that you're paying in order to get spayed, neutered, microchipped, you have to do those in order for the adoption to occur. Those are gonna have to be consumed by the county for the better.
That's kind of what I'm.
it's fine.
Because you can't offer an animal up.
Well, you can a puppy, but he does take a deposit.
But yes, but you can do, if there's a medical emergency or the dog is not able to have the process done, but you also have to get something in writing that says they're gonna bring back. So it's a little different than a private.
Yeah.
So how would we handle a puppy adoption in that case? If the money can't be fronted up, to take care of the sterilization.
So what the act actually states is that at that point in time, you are supposed to execute a written agreement to have sterilizing and microchipping procedures performed within 14 days after a licensed veterinarian certifies the dog or cat is healthy enough for sterilizing and microchipping procedures, and a licensed veterinarian has certified that the dog or cat is too sick. I mean, it goes through that process in the act. We end up having to enter into an agreement. Now, if the veteran says, hey, I'll take it to my own vet, I'm more comfortable, which oftentimes would happen, then I don't think the county ends up having to reimburse or pay for that. But if the person comes back and says, well, will you take care of this for me, I'll bring it back, then I think the county would.
Okay. So, I've talked to our veterinarian, Central Hospital, about a similar scenario. And if the county was have to absorb the total complete cost of these adoptions, they were willing to go ahead and take care of the requirements and then invoice me. And then, of course, I'd submit a claim to me for pay, which is fine. Either, like I said, I'm however, what direction it goes, it's fine. So obviously, this is all new. I can't tell you how many we're going to do. I have no idea. We just take it.
And it's limited, I think one per 2 years or
Yeah, one dog or one cat every 2 years, and it says you may limit, so we would definitely most likely do that just to help with future issues that come on. So I just want clarification that
You're asking us for a policy.
well, just so so policy more or less, yes. So we're on the same page.
You guys, go write up a policy for him.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right, we'll get a policy written up,
Okay.
approved, and we'll let something work with.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. IRS account creation. Ashley, could you please us on that?
Yeah, I guess there's a new law in the states that we're required to file everything electronically.
By everything, could you?
Well, your 1095, 1094C, insurance, your 1099, whatever EDS, IT, all of that stuff, HCs, miscellaneous,
W-2.
W-2s, electronically with the IRS, the fire system, the ACH system, all that stuff. I have filed an extension request on behalf of the county to give us an additional 30 days. I emailed all of you a copy of that, and it's been mailed out. Once that's in place with the IRS, then we can ask for an additional 30-day extension. But basically, this is a request to the extension because it's the first time set up. To my understanding, there's some things that we have to do as far as failure litmus testing with our program provider software to be able to send to the IRS to make sure that it's compliant with that. So we're going to get Mark involved. The other thing we're going to have to do is apply to be able to get on these systems. I started the application process because you have to use the IDV system, which I'm already in with the U.S. Treasury and ARPA. I thought that you could just do it the same way, but in this IRS system, it's requiring at least 2 registered representatives and then 2 contacts. I can't tell you if those have to be separate individuals to accommodate all 4 requirements, or if the 2 people can also be listed as a registered rep and a contact. I've got myself listed in there, but I need to be given either 1 or 3 additional names to be able to put this in the system in order to be able to upload this application request. That's pertaining to IRS. I've actually, on the SSA side, the Social Security Administration side, for the W-2s, I just received the 5-digit TCC number code to be able to put that in, so Marla will be able to do those here shortly. But I need some kind of volunteer or directive as to who's willing to go on this in addition to myself to be able to be put in the system.
So through the ARPA process, I had to get the IDV.
We got all the commissioners, which only
So did you.
you and Commissioner Marlowe are left. We also had one of the states, the prior state's attorney was listed in there as well as a legal contact. Stephanie is listed in there as a correspondent to be able to receive information. So there are multiple people that have that designation already. But the question is do we want to use those existing pools? Do we want to add people to it? I sent a link to Commissioner Rager to be in to add him to that. The 1099 forms come out of Amanda's office.
Thank you,
And the 1094, 95s come from Julie, which was quasi Amanda and commissioners. So the question is who would you like to designate to be those members so I can go ahead and continue with the application process? And it can be as many or as few as you want. I mean, I don't think there's any
Jimmy,
detriment.
will you go through the process?
Yeah, the link didn't work.
It did not.
I tried it a handful of times, but I went all the way back to ID.me and just started from scratch.
Okay, I apologize.
I'm working through, it's okay, it happens. I got about halfway through and it broke again on me. Okay, I'm in the process of getting it done. I will get it done.
Yeah, it just takes time.
Yeah,
It is a hassle. I can tell you that.
but I will get it done, and I have no problem doing this. Is there advantage or disadvantage to having more or less?
No, I mean, if we continue to add people to it, again, there's correspondence that should go to any of the individuals that are listed, so you can be at least up to date on things.
Is that slurf, the slurf?
The slurp is that's
Those
the
are
treasury, that's the ARPA notification you
So
guys
that-
receive to
We get
to tell you, yeah, here's when this is due, then it tells you, this, your recent report's been omitted.
So you
all that stuff. So you would receive, yeah, correspondence to be able, instead of just getting my email saying.
So Jim, are you willing to be a part of this too?
Sure.
When Jim gets his, it sounds like he's willing to be a part of it, so am I.
Okay.
Will that give you a large enough pool to go from?
I would assume so.
Okay, if it's not, then
I can let you know.
let us know.
Okay.
Anything else on that?
I don't believe so.
Thank you, Ashley. You have an ARPA request for later, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Semi-board request, that's the last thing on new business today. Jim, could you lead us on that? Tell us what that is.
Yeah, I belong to the 708 mental health board. And Michelle Hamilton is here. She's our chairman of that board. Michelle brought up an idea that I wanted to present to the 708 mental health board is making some changes in the way we fund mental health entities. And it's requiring some additional work. And so Michelle came up with an idea, a suggestion, I should say, patterned off of Jackson County and what their 708 mental health board is doing. So Michelle, I'll turn it over to you. I
Yes.
want you to present to the board here.
Right, so I'm not sure how much you all really know about the history of the 708 board, but typically, since we started in 1968, we ran the money through it to one organization. Well, that organization, because they pretty much started the mental health organization for Franklin Williamson County, but they were always very involved with our board meetings. Again, all of the money went directly to them. So they always provided someone that would come to the meetings and take the minutes and get the agendas out and all of that stuff. Well, since we've made changes to how we are dispersing the funds, we will not have that or have someone there to do that. And because we've made so many changes and we are going to be working with multiple different agencies, it's going to be a lot more time intensive for us. And it's going to be even more important that we have a central location to be able to have, mail sent to and keep records and files and that sort of thing. So we need a more centralized location, which should be this. I've carried this briefcase around for 20 years now, stuff from the 70s and 80s. Anyhow, I looked at what Jackson County was doing, and they are actually paying someone that's already with the county so that everything can be centralized within Jackson County. We would like to do something similar. So what we are offering is $3,000 to pay to the county commissioners for that service. And then you would decide who would be taking care of those tasks. And so what I did was I just pretty much used what Jackson County had used as a memorandum of understanding on what the duties would be and what the money would cost and what those funds would go for.
About how many meetings?
So we are required to meet quarterly. And before this year, we met quarterly. Since we have changed the way that we are doing business, we have already had probably 5 or 6 special meetings that we've done. Now, I do think that we will get back to being more just quarterly, but until we kind of get everything ironed out, I think each year it's going to get better and easier. So I'm going to say probably, 4 to 6 times a year is what we'll get down to.
Okay, on the maintaining the budget, does she have special software or how does that, what do you need for that?
So as far as the budget goes, we've got a treasurer and she will actually be still taking care of the budget. So I think the way that I wrote that in there is that this person would basically just keep records of the budget. So they would just have to have that on file here at the courthouse. And again, right now we've got mail and bank statements and all of that going to, our treasurer's home. I have mail and things coming to my home. And that really needs to be centrally located because if I get hit by a bus, you guys are just going to be able to find this stuff. So we need to have all of that on file here at the courthouse.
I mean, it's all relates to the direction that the 708 mental health board is. as Michelle stated originally, we would just transfer one that took care, took our money and provided services. Then you turn that board into something a little different. Our boards decided to go a different direction. So, and have a more of a hands-on approach. And due to that, we were so reliant on the other entity taking care of our minutes and everything like that, and giving us the minutes, doing all the services for us. So we're in a sort of a learning curve, with running and goods, and everything else. And so the idea is trying to.
This also keeps us in compliance with things like the Open Meetings Act.
Oh,
and
just
our
to
agenda and all that.
about that.
And so right now, it's been, I come up with the agenda and then I send it to Jen and then Jen gives it to Stephanie and then she posts it. Well, we are also in the process of building a website for the 708 board. And so that way, everybody can know what our meetings are. They know who we're funding. We know what their budget's like. Also, we can list things like resources that we have available in Williamson County, so people can use that as, a way to access those facilities and those resources
Where do you get your funds at? Where you operate
from you.
We're your sole source, right?
We are, so it's all, it's a percentage of the real estate taxes that comes in, it's about $400,000, and it's funneled from.
Yeah, she's part of our county, or I should say, with the center.
Is this a component unit of our government?
I believe it is.
That's what I thought it was.
The concerns that I have on an MOU on this, though, would only be in regards to records retention. So it sounds as though they almost need an office location assigned to them. Then the employee issue, as far as being able to help with agendas and all that, is a separate issue. But putting the records in the county board office certainly makes them subject to FOIA. From the
They are
county.
anyway.
I understand, but then it puts the counties has the burden to produce those records as opposed to the mental health board.
I think
So
that.
that's my biggest concern.
And so what we could probably do is, I think out of with some of the board funds, I don't know if this would work, but if we could purchase a repository or someplace to put the stuff. And I mean, basically you would just be storing it. If they wanted something from the 708 board, they would have to come to.
So what I'm kind of envisioning is if there's a spare office room, it's part of the fee that is not only the use of Stephanie, but then also the use of that space on an annual basis. And so that's where all of that paperwork, documents, et cetera, are stored at. So that's it's a separate location, so it's not confused with the filing cabinets of the county board office.
I think that would be ideal, honestly, because I don't like the fact that, again, before it was so simple and now we're dealing with a lot of money and a lot of disbursements and a lot of record keeping, quarterly reports and so forth. And so I just feel like it needs to have a home. And that way, when I'm done with the 708 board and the next person comes in, Jim Bales was my secretary treasurer for many, many years. And so he had all of the stuff, at his house. I know Jim well, I know where he lives. I knew if I needed anything, I could go to his house and get it. But I don't know that moving forward, we're gonna have that kind of relationship with the board members.
What do we need to do to that agreement?
Well, I mean, if you adopt that concept, we would actually change it into a lease and memorandum of understanding or something along those lines.
Should we prepare that or do we then prepare that?
I would prefer that we prepare it.
Okay.
That's fine.
That'd be okay? We'll put it on the future agenda and get you taken care of.
Okay, all right,
Couple of questions.
sure,
Sorry, Jim.
You said you're building a website.
yes.
Who's gonna maintain it and update it?
So they are giving us the ability to go in and just update it as needed. I think, but we're all gonna be trained, all of the board members are gonna be trained on how to do that. The only things that will really have to be updated is just posting the agenda items and then posting the updated RFPs. So I think that as far as, getting the agenda posted, that would probably be Stephanie, if she is the one that's chosen for this position. She would merely post the things, not having to create it, create all of the content or anything like that. I don't see us, besides adding a link, which is basically what she's doing now. When I send her the agenda, or if I send her a link to the RFP, I would send it to her and she would go in and post it. And we're using Mayor Network, so it's gonna be the same as what they're doing right now.
Currently, right now, we had any announcement, we put it on the county page under announcements.
Right.
Brett, I don't know if this one goes to you, but I'm gonna look at you. It seems to me with an agreement like this, and I've already heard the words time intensive, so we don't know how much time this is going to be. But if a county employee is tasked with this, it seems to me they should clock out of their county job to do this job since they're being paid for it. Am I off base?
One of the advantages of utilizing Stephanie for this is she is considered a salaried hourly exempt. So therefore, you don't run into a wage and hour issue. If you change her over to an hourly employee, then certainly the cost and price would escalate.
We looked at it from the standpoint of what the amount of time it was taking us to do these tasks. And we were figuring about 3 hours a month right now. And so that is where we kind of came up with the amount of $3,000.
And that money would go into our general fund, not just Stephanie, it would go into the county.
Right.
Does have any further questions? So we'll rewrite this, read it back up.
By the way, and I'm sure that Commissioner Marlowe will tell you that we will be dispersing funds on February 8th at 3:00. We're going to be doing that here. And there's going to be big checks written. And it's going to be a really awesome event. So we're super excited about it. And I know we're going to have some really happy agencies around here that are going to get some good money from us. It's going to be really exciting.
We're pretty excited.
We are very excited.
One more thing about this agreement too, if the board goes this direction and it's approved, it's probably on a yearly basis, and if it works out, great, if it doesn't work out, we'll do it again.
Yeah, I did put a provision in there that anybody could cancel it within 30 days. So.
Sure. Well, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. We'd love to see you on the 8th, all of you. That'd be great. All right.
All right, thanks. Just moving on down the agenda to the ordinance. This ordinance is consideration of ordinance providing for the issue of $13,120,000 debt certificates of the county for the purpose of refinancing public road improvements. Ashley has taken his chair. We've already had a lengthy discussion about this. Jim, what do you have to say about this? Any questions?
Kyle and James are on the call right now. There's a packet that Kyle overnighted for all the documentation to be signed for the death certificates, the actual death certificates themselves and everything. I think the questions that we had as far as being able to retire the debt early and everything have been answered. Based on that 3-year call provision, we'll be able to apply any principal reduction that we would want or that we would receive. We will pay off the note, the First Southern, on January 30th. We're going to need to write them a check for $217,053.95, which is the amount of interest that we do on the note itself, because we don't want to finance that. We already have the money available. So the other thing that's been financed in outside of the principal amount is the fee to Baker and Captain Keller. So, Kyle and James, is there anything you want to add or bring to the attention of the board or to Red?
Hey, this is James. I have nothing to add at this point. I appreciate you guys giving us the opportunity to work with you.
Yeah, and this is Kyle from Chapman. Again, appreciate the opportunity to present to you remotely. I think the treasurer did a great job of summarizing this. It's a continuation of our conversation from earlier this month. The treasurer is also exactly correct that in accordance with the request of the board, the debt certificates are callable on the third anniversary, so that'll be January 30th, 2027. So from and after that date, the county can refinance, refund the outstanding debt certificate at a redemption price of par, which means the county will have the flexibility that if interest rates move in your favor, if they go down, that you can refinance this debt at a lower interest rate at that time. So that provision is reflected in here. And the treasurer's also correct that the proceeds of this, besides paying cost of issuance, will be used to pay off that promissory note on January 30th. The closing packet document happily did arrive, notwithstanding the ice storm in between Chicago and Marion. And so I'll be looking to collect for you to provide signature on the closing documents, which I'll use to make the transcript, which will then be provided to First Southern Bank, who's the purchaser of these debts.
3-year callable, just clear up for me one more time, after the third year, it's callable at any time or every third year.
Any day, in whole or in part. And it's a very pro-county term that was included in the debt certificate.
Thank you.
I mean, it's about as win-win as possible.
Yes.
I mean, on the
That's what I thought.
county. It's a very, very favorable.
We are happy to run any numbers you guys need after the redemption date also, if you guys want to look into refinancing these bonds at a lower rate. So yeah, feel free to reach out to my email anytime, and I'll be happy to run those numbers for you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, does anybody have any questions about this? Any more questions? What is the payment every year? Is it a
Well,
two-payment a
it
year?
varies. I mean, it's about $1 million.
No, I meant how many payments a year? Is this a single?
Well,
It's
payment?
semi-annual.
It's
Twice,
semi-annual.
one
So-
interest payment, one principal payment per year. Yeah,
Just
twice a
like,
year.
just like a current.
Just like
we have with the jail. So,
Okay.
and we'll need to discuss, which this is not really part of this conversation at this time, but, I know the board has made inclinations about earmarking all funds received through the casino tax revenue to be used solely towards the retirement, of this debt. So if that is the board's intention, you probably need to change the
We're
policy.
gonna need to change that policy.
and in the reserves and identify that and we'll set the trust. And all monies will be put in there as received on a monthly basis. So we'll be able to track and make the payments.
We have this also, because I know you were just saying.
Well, I'm anxious to see if the revenue levels up. I mean, it's hard to estimate what we're going to see right now because the numbers are, in my opinion, considerably different from month to month. So, yeah, once we have some real history to base on them, then I think we can make that decision.
That's kind of what I was, from that. It was an excellent. All right, anybody have any questions? Anything else you'd like to say? Legal, you got anything about this?
Nope.
Are we ready to make a motion to approve? Is there an ordinance number on that? I didn't.
It's on,
Where's that at?
it's on the ordinance page.
Is it 24-01-23-01?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 24-01-23-0.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Anderson.
Yeah.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Raisik.
Yeah.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you hanging on through this meeting. And is there anything else we need from you guys? Need to hear, need to ask, anything?
No, that'd be it for me. You just need a copy of the signed documents. That's my email. We'll be all set.
Okay, as soon as the meeting's over today, we'll start signing these documents. We may have to send out for more ink pens. There's a lot of signatures. All right, gentlemen, thank you. It's nice doing business with you.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, moving on down. See anything else on the agenda? We'll move down to public comment. Does anybody have a public comment they'd like to make? Any comments at all? All right, we'll move on down to miscellaneous. I know, Ashley, you have some ARPA, you have at least one ARPA claim?
I do. Actually, before I start, I would like to thank you guys for giving me the latitude and the confidence in me to secure all this and basically run with it from start to finish. So I think I've done this with the best interest of the county in mind, and I think we've saved a whole lot of money for the taxpayers in doing, what we did. So
Ashley,
I appreciate that.
just the original note. What was our percentage on that original note?
Well, it was gonna be prime plus 3/4 or prime plus a half, whatever the contractor, offered it. And then we got it at basically an average rate of 2.3%. I mean, off of the 2 years. So we saved,
Let's say thousands and
hundreds
thousands
of
of
thousands of dollars. So
Right. And that was your doing. I'm gonna say that was totally your doing. You had the connections to the bank. I appreciated that.
Appreciate it.
That move right there saved the county a lot of money.
like I said, you gave me the latitude to do it, so I appreciate it. This is Highway North 37. If you remember when in our conversations with ARPA, this was the only entity that had not achieved or obtained their UEI number as required by the Treasury. So this actual request is, the invoice is dated for November because they've been holding it because I said we're not supplying any money until this was obtained. So this is for 440 water meters that are 5/8 by 3/4, and then also 10 1-inch water meters and then 450 plastic meter lids for the project. This is for $158,292 even, which after this payment will leave them with approximately $51,162, which should be what the installation cost of this.
And in the very beginning of this, of the audit, they didn't have to have, nobody had to have a UEI.
Nobody had to have it. I mean, fortunately for us, the majority of the recipients already had one, just because most of the time you renewed your SAMS.gov number over the course of the last year. That was part of the renewal process. So many people already had them in place. We had about, we had 30 plus projects and probably 25 or 28 unique entities, say 3 to 5 of them didn't have it, that they had to go out there and obtain it. So the only one that does not have it, to my knowledge, is Zion Church, and they're not required to have it. I mean, all the rest of them.
Everybody else that's received money from us has got the UEI number.
Yeah.
As off the top of your head, is everybody, with the exception of Culp, is all the projects started, they started receiving money?
Well, the city of Marion hasn't started their selling,
I haven't used on that.
projects,
Oh, go ahead.
but I'm aware of. I mean, they haven't asked for it.
They have called me. They would like to use that money for a different purpose. And so I got a call from Brent King on this. I think they were, it was 200 or was it 300?
About 300 grand.
They have to move their lines where they're going to put a roundabout at Wildcat and Route 37. And IDOT is requiring them to move their utilities and everything, and so they would like to use that money for utility lines. So I told them, I said, and I heard the threat on this, to have them come in, we'll get it all done, we'll have to reapply, basically. Because what their application is for, very specific, so it doesn't cover that. So.
The good thing is like on the ARPA reporting, that's still in that same general, like the water line is just movement of water.
It's water infrastructure.
So that water and sewer, that'll still fall in the
That's still
same
falling.
category. It's just that, I mean, for you guys to.
And I believe Brent has let me know that that project's probably about $100,000 less.
Okay.
What they were originally.
Right, they're going to keep their application at the same level, and then going to hand us the bid documents. Because bid documents, bidding has been so volatile, up and down, yes. They don't know what exactly the price is going to be. So,
But I believe other than that, those are the only two that have not busted today.
so everybody is up to date, everybody's good to go. I've not heard anybody complain, so that's a good thing.
I guess I do have one question. I mean, is the board, what's the board's intention of any funds, or what time are you going to either claw those back or open up any other potential, because December 30th?
December.
Final day
It's gonna be quick.
to be able to at least have approval and start the project.
I would think probably next couple of months, we'll start talking, taking a look at that, so find out where the,
Projects, see where,
See how-
what percent of progress that they
and get an actual accounting of that, the ARPA funds on the left, and decide what we're gonna do with those. This, we're on top of it. We'll figure that out. Yeah,
was running.
right. All right, does anybody have anything else for this part? Ken isn't gonna be here until 2. I would suggest we take a short recess. Then we'll have the bond or the audit. I think that's all we have left for today's meeting. All right, we'll take a recess. Ready to vote on it?
Need a motion to recess.
Till 2 o'clock.
Till 2 o'clock.
Second. Roll call, please.
Tim Anderson.
Yep.
Jim Marlowe.
Yes.
Jim Razor.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Right, and have a good day.
Brett, I don't know, there is a spot, I really don't know this. Kyle
Good afternoon, we're back from short recess. It's Tuesday, January 23rd, it's 2:01 PM. Roll call, please.
Tim Anderson.
Present.
Jim Marlowe.
Present.
Jim Reason.
Present.
So I moved the discussion about the audit for 2022 until now. Tim is with us. And does anybody have anything to say before we start here? Jim?
Need a roll call.
We did roll call.
You did roll call? Oh, I'm sorry. I was focusing on something else.
Okay. Brett, do you have a statute for
Sure.
closed session for,
So pursuant to 5 ILCS 122-2C, number 29, meetings between internal or external auditors and governmental audit committees, finance committees, and their equivalents, when the discussion involves internal control weaknesses, are permitted to go into an executive or closed session for discussion of those items. I believe that Ms. Meyer is going to be discussing those internal control weaknesses that were discovered in her external audit. So if the board would so desire, you could motion to go into closed for discussion of those.
I would make a motion that we go into closed session to discuss the audit according to the statute that Brett just said. Thank you. Second. Roll call, please.
Tim Anderson.
Yes.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Jim Reason.
Thank you.
We do have, Mr. Chairman, we do have one person in attendance